welcome here to a very special edition of the Dolphin Dive on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We are inside of the Travel Great Lakes Honda City Studios. You know that I am all over the country throughout the year, and no matter where I am and what I'm doing, I keep my promise, I keep my word. And the Dolphin Dive is every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. So wherever I am, I've sat in airports on the ground to talk with student athletes, and now in my travels, I am here with Jeff Lonczak, the men's and women's tennis head coach for both programs at Moyne College, in this edition of the Dolphin Dive, exclusively in our multimedia marketing partnership with Moyne College here on Wake Up Call inside these Great Lakes Honda City studios once again. So with that being said, Mr. Lonczak, how we doing?
Oh, Dan, I'm doing well. Thank you so much. Happy spring break week. It's spring break out here. So,
Yeah, and I definitely am feeling it. Spring break when you travel to the south, it's pretty. I mean, I don't know, like I don't want kids to be mad at me here, but I mean, you get spring break in Florida, but it's kind of like spring break all the time because it's sunny and it's beautiful. Like spring break up north, you retreat down south. Spring break down south, it's like, yeah, we get a week off, but it's the same beautiful weather. I know you know Florida. I know Florida. You've had tennis down here with Lemoyne. So just what you could say about your travels, because I know the teams had some travels. I know you like warmer climates. So what's that been like for you? And have you gotten to do any of those special trips so far?
well, we actually played outdoors all last weekend, which was pretty incredible. I mean, it only took about 260 miles south to go to Philadelphia and play, but we were able to get out there, so it was really cool. We played men played 3 matches in 2 days. Women played, a match on Saturday, a match on Sunday. So it was really good. We had a pretty good fundraising situation in Lemoyne with Giving Day. I feel like next year will be a spring break trip wherever that may be. Somewhere definitely more warm though, that's for sure.
And I'd love to go into that a little bit deeper, just what you can say to that effect of Giving Day at Lemoyne. Like you said, it went well for your tennis programs. Just to go a little bit deeper into what went so well and what you really appreciated.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a little bit of a different situation with us being that most of my players are international. I think generally speaking, concepts of family saving for college educations slash donating to the college that they go to isn't as I guess in your face as it is here. My daughter's 11. I've been saving her for college for 5 or 6 years already. Just isn't that way internationally. So yeah, I mean, we tried to kind of, maybe get that more on the radar for our players, more in the forefront, and it worked. We just were able to raise a lot more money than we ever have in the past, and yeah, we're excited about it.
So for you, like you said, some of that can go to trips and whatnot. Where do you, when that money comes in from donations, where do you want to focus it the most, and where do you kind of feel like those areas need to be that you're putting this new money in, so to speak?
Yeah, I think always the equipment piece matters to the kids. They're used to more. I think a lot of the times, playing through clubs in their countries and stuff like that. They have pretty accessible sponsorships in a way for gear or kits as they're called in England. So yeah, I mean that's going to be a piece, but definitely the spring break trip is going to be huge because I mean if you look at the schedules of all the teams in the Northeast, pretty much everyone has one. So yeah, I mean as a recruiting tool, us not having one kind of it hurts. I mean players see that, oh hey, where are you guys going for spring break? Oh, we're not really going anywhere. And then all of a sudden you lose a player to a different school that is going there. So hopefully we can rectify that and make it a part of recruiting and get down south.
Where would you like to go in a perfect world that you think would be good for the team?
In a perfect world, I would like to be out west. To be honest with you, I would probably rather be in Cali, maybe playing some schools out there. Well, I could go on about this for a while, but yeah, the Boca area too would be maybe number two. Hilton Head would be number three. So there's three.
Yeah, I love that we do not have a pre-conversation about what we're going to talk about or anything like that. And you rattled off three so quickly. You said Boca Raton, Florida. I was down in Boca a couple years ago when Syracuse played in the bowl game at FAU Stadium, right by the beach. Never had been to Boca Raton, been to all different parts of Florida, but I never been to Boca. I really like the experience. There's like a ritzy side to it. There's a downtown to it. O'Brien's Irish Pub, great. Syracuse fan. So they had the upside down light from Coleman's, like the original one that they bid on, and like the stadium being there and everything. And just, I didn't go on to the beach, but knowing that that was out in Boca, why did you, of all places in Florida, why? I mean, I liked my experience at Boca, but why did you pick Boca?
Well, for me, I've never actually been, so I can't like give you a concrete reason. But the proximity to the schools there, and there's D2 FAU, like you said, there's a lot of D2 schools, and like they really appreciate us coming down to play. So much so that they might cover a few hotel rooms, to be honest with you. So that kind of helps it. And then you have the direct flight. I don't know if it's Breeze or Allegiant that runs from Cuse to Fort Lauderdale. So yeah, I feel like those things make it a pretty easy trip.
Yeah, so for all of those that are listening from Moyne College, we're making plans right now. We're
Absolutely.
we're setting it up. We're making a reality, and there needs to be a little fund for Wake Up Call to travel. I just did one of those with a national tournament where the team put me on the bus, put me in the hotel, put me in the team meetings, and with the team the whole way through. And so it gets your wheels turning about that. So not only do I want the men's and women's tennis teams to travel to all these places, but plus one is all I'm saying, Jeff.
Yeah, well, we know that we want you there. That's for sure.
No, and I appreciate that. It means a lot. Fariel Mabuli was on the show recently in that episode of the Dolphin Dive, and I got to hear her story. And she was such a pleasure, such a treasure, so kind, and giving of her time. Just what you could say about her, because yet another student athlete that I've gotten to talk to. I know all of your student athletes matter. I just would like to get a little bit more of your feel on Fariel because I got to really kind of see her story and hear her story, and I got to share it with everybody.
Yeah, I mean, she's a leader, She's a hard worker. She's someone who, you know, puts her puts her team kind of over herself. She tries to get extra time as much as she can on the court, and that kind of serves as a pretty good example to some of the younger players. And she's working on her second MBA. She's, she's worldly. She taught at a club in Cincinnati this summer. I mean, she's just kind of all you want in a tennis player. She also, on top of it, she will like just kind of like take baskets and like work with other players on the team. Something that isn't really seen all the time from players. Most of the time, they're looking for trying to get themselves better, but she'll actually try to make her team better. So yeah, I mean, she's been a treasure for us. We feel really blessed and lucky that she's a part of Lemoyne.
Yeah, and just looking at the roster, and she's from Tunisia, but seeing Morocco as well as Bulgaria, Binghamton, New York, we have Germany, England, Spain, Ecuador. Uh, you've always been this way. You'll recruit all over the world. How important is that? Because you and I have talked about this so much, but it's literally like Central New York has the United Nations. It's like Central New York has pieces of the world when we look at these tennis teams for men's and women's tennis. And I was looking at the women's roster because we were speaking about Feriel, but to just look at where they're from, how do you go about it? And how do you what do you do? Because you're obviously not there physically all the time. So what are what connections are you making? Are there bridges that have been built with certain countries that you just feel like you can call certain coaches and say like, who do you have this year? Just bringing me into how you recruit and why you go to the places you go to.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit it on the head, Dan. Like that's exactly it. The relationships that we kind of built over the years. Sometimes we get direct referrals from like a former player saying, "Hey, look, this person here, be a great fit for you." Other times it's the coaches in the different areas. Now I'm like last year was my first year to get to some junior tournaments. I got to one in Costa Rica. Next year I'm going to be getting, or next year, yeah, this year in a couple of months actually I'll be going down to Nicaragua again with the same coach that I know to do a couple of weeks of recruiting there. So So yeah, I mean, it's been a growing process. I mean, we keep kind of, you know, fine tuning it and trying to figure out exactly where we fit perfectly. And I learn every day. I mean, trying to figure out the right fits. You know, it's just not that easy. But you know, I think the biggest thing for us is to make sure that we're working. You know, I mean, you know, keep grinding, keep going for it, keep trying to make these relationships, build these bridges, and you know, it'll pay off. I'm not really sure the number. I think it's either 25 or 26 different countries we've represented through tennis at Lemoyne. You know, hopefully when we have our facility, you know, maybe we won't have enough space for all the flags that we represent, but who knows? You know, in the future.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing that I love, right? Because it's like this Lemoyne men's and women's tennis programs essentially, to me, it's like it's an Olympic sport, but it feels very much like the Olympics because there's so many different countries involved. It's, you know, you're in central New York and you're getting a feel for all these different languages, different food, different culture, and all these backgrounds coming together. It makes you feel like the Olympics are happening at all times on the same team, which I think for me makes it really exciting to see all these pieces of the world. Like I worked at Walt Disney World, and on our buses in the morning, I called it the United Nations. We had France, Germany, Italy. We had Brazil. We had, you know, all these Dominican Republic. We had all of these wonderful pieces of the world, and we're just sitting on a bus together. If there's 20 people on the bus, they could be representing 18 different countries, and to me, that's fun. And to see that with Lemoyne, it really speaks to your recruitment. It speaks to your bridges. When we look at the men's team, we had in Italy, Australia, Israel from Tel Aviv, Syracuse, New York. Shout out to Peter Hatton holding down the fort. And then we see New Jersey and Portugal and India. I mean, this really is such a beautiful thing. So, what is it like to have an Olympic sport that mirrors the Olympic Games, but you all just are playing with each other instead of against each other?
It's great. Yeah, I mean, these guys and girls, you know, we have a ton of fun. I learn so much about them and their culture, and I mean, you kind of can almost make like generalizations about people from England. I mean, I wish you could have Luke on the show because I mean, you would basically need a translator. I mean, he's from up north in England. He's very difficult to understand, very thick accent. But like now, like I feel like I got it, you know. So it's one of those things where everybody I kind of get to understand, everybody I kind of, you know, yeah, grow to love, and hopefully they can kind of say the same thing about me.
Yeah, I'm here with Jeff Lonczak, the head coach of the men's and women's tennis programs at Moyne College, inside of this exclusive multimedia marketing partnership in this edition of Dolphin Dive on Wake Up Call inside of the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. The men's side of the season so far, at the time that we're talking, a record of 5-7, 3-0 in the conference. And your takeaways up to this point. I do want to make a note too that for your men's and women's tennis teams, I down in Binghamton, obviously, I know Nick Zazula on the men's side and Paul Caceres on the women's side. So, do you like? I mean, that hour away, that Binghamton matchup and that opportunity. I mean, they're in the America East, but when it comes to tennis inside of the NEC, what's that been like for you, and just what that matchup is to be an hour away and have like that in-state rivalry opportunity?
Yeah, I love it. I like Nick. I like Paul a lot. Yeah, we're lucky to be able to play them twice per year. So I mean, we kind of get that extra. It ends up being a home and away series. You know, my friend Michael owned the facility that Binghamton bought, so I get to. It's nice for me to go there. I used to go train there every once in a while with him. Um, you know, Nick runs a program that is, you know, kind of second to none in our conference. They're kind of the benchmark and what we look at as like, you know, I want to try to be as good as Nick and Binghamton. You know, that's kind of always what I'm trying to do. And Paul is inherited, you know, a solid team, and he's making them better. And you know what they do with video. I mean, they're live streaming these events, so I mean that makes it even more attractive for us to play them down there. It's a great thing. I think the relationship's going to continue to go forward. Nick's been nothing but helpful with me, and hopefully he sees me the same with him.
Yeah, yeah, I love that, and I love that bond. So speaking of bonds, your home right now, Elevate Fitness in DeWitt, New York. So those are the home opportunities. Also, Drumlins. I want to give a shout out to them in Syracuse as well. Just what you could say to that effect, because we don't have the tennis courts on campus at Lemoyne yet. So Elevate Fitness and Drumlins, just what those places have been to you, what those facilities have done for you, and if you feel like even though they're off campus, if it is a good selling point, if you feel like what you have at Drumlins and Elevate are things that you can utilize as tools when you have potential recruits come on campus.
Yeah, I mean, Elevate and us have had a relationship for, long before, actually back when I was even a player. So very long time ago. And they've always worked with us and try to give us the best experience possible. We haven't really worked with Drumlins this year or some once in a while the past couple of years. I wish we could more. They're just so busy, I think, with SU and Colgate now. But yeah, Elevate's been our home. We work well together, and we try to make sure that we help them as much as they help us.
And to the point of the hope for the future, when Bob Beretta was the athletics director at Lemoyne, him and I had the conversation. We got to break the exclusive here on Wake Up Call about the project for the events and rec center and how much it was going to cost and what was going to be added and what was going to be coming with it, including tennis courts on campus and a track that would be added to campus. What do you know of where things are at? Have you been given any type of a timetable? Because I'm anxious about it. I'm sure you're more anxious than I am, but I'm anxious to have tennis courts on campus, to hang those flags, like you said, and happily run out of space of all the countries represented. But just what you can say to that effect, because it'll be huge. I know it'll be huge, and it's kind of been a process of what's going to be worked on first. So how much do you know?
Yeah, I mean, I've been on a bunch of meetings about it. The plans have changed drastically since, I guess, the first meeting. Um, Timetable, don't really have anything set in stone yet. I think the last kind of idea that was thrown out there is a large facility that would house a tennis, 4 tennis courts and track and a turf field under a massive bubble. So yeah, I mean, hopefully that comes to fruition. I guess like the big thing for us that would be really cool is just to be in a space with the other programs training. So I mean, if people are coming around to do some laps, all of a sudden they'll be gawking at us and the velocity at which we hit the tennis ball and maybe stick around and watch a set. So I mean, that's kind of the thing that we really would want is to be included in the campus body, I guess, where everybody can see us, because that's the one part that really we love Elevate and all that they've done for us, but I mean, we lose hundreds of spectators, I think, friends of our players, faculty. A lot of them have a vested interest in our program, and that's really where the loss occurs, is we just don't get them to our matches because they're at a different site.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, when there's different sports training and whatnot, not just with the matches, but to just come by and see you because they're there anyways. So, I think that exposure will be huge, and the work that the men's team has done and the success that you've had with them, and then as the women's team has come up, do you feel like you're in a place because you're overseeing both and you're the head coach of both? Are you feeling like the women's team has started to elevate to a level where you're now seeing the men's and women's team and say, okay, like we are in a place now where they're both vying every match for these victories, because the men's team had done so well for so long that I've known you, and the women's team, you said we're building, we're up and coming, but I've seen the women. I mean, you look at what the women's team has done this year, and certain things have happened. I would imagine that there's a lot to be proud of. Do you feel like the two of them are kind of giving to each other at this point, and that we've seen maybe an acceleration of the women's side?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, at the end of the day, if you kind of take a look at I guess the makeup of each program. Like right now, I'd say, two of my recruits, Ferriel being one of them, are kind of Division One recruits. So I mean, yeah, I mean, we're getting there. I think you probably know. I mean, I'm a humble person, and I'm trying to do my best, but I want to win. That's a major motivating factor for me, and if that means that sleep will be deprived in order to make that goal happen, then that's what it's going to be. So I mean, I am going to try my best to get some of the best players in here. That success, it keeps coming like inch by inch. So if one thing shakes out on the women's side, that could be a snowball effect into extreme success. And I really believe that's going to happen. And I think I'm hoping it happens really soon with this next recruiting class. That's my goal there. And the men, I mean, I'm very, very young. There, a lot of these guys are Division One recruits, and these guys are ready to go. They understand my expectations. And right now we're kind of at I guess the meat and potatoes portion of the schedule where, basically a month left to go. So I mean, they're ready.
And like you said, the future of recruiting, what has changed, what hasn't changed, because you never shied away when Lemoyne was Division 2 from playing Division 1 opponents, and you made it a point to challenge your team with matches throughout the season that put them against NCAA Division 1 programs. So that part of it, from again, those that pay attention to men's and women's tennis at Lemoyne, that hasn't changed, right? You were constantly saying like, I don't want to be the best Division 2 school. I want to be a good school overall. I want to be able to compete overall. So there's things that you built into these programs of challenging yourself in Division 1, which I'm sure helped you in the transition. But have there been other elements that you feel like recruiting wise or in any other place you've had to kind of adjust a little bit being in Division 1?
I mean, I can't really say that there's been much of an adjustment. It's just it's always been difficult. I mean, to be totally transparent with you, it's always been difficult. I'm recruiting at a school that I don't have tennis courts, right? So that's tough, especially now in the D1 space. I mean, most of these guys and girls are going to schools that have courts in their backyard that they can play at. I mean, not to say anything. I love Lemoyne, not to say anything, but they're not my players have never heard of Lemoyne. You know what I mean? So I have to clue them in on that. And there's a lot of great things to clue them in on. Especially academics and kind of like the way we operate. But I mean, there's always hurdles to recruiting that we're trying to jump over. I feel like if any of those hurdles like get taken down, i.e., we have tennis courts, that it's gonna definitely even go to the moon, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and the hope for that in the not too distant future would be huge. I know for you, it would make your job a lot easier to do that. And I mean, because you spend so much time on the tennis court, and because like you said, if I'm going to be sleep deprived, it's a lot easier when your office could be right there on campus. We look at the men's side of things. At the time, we're talking 5-7 on the season, and with that 5-7 record, 3-0 inside of the NEC, and 3-1 at home at Elevate, and then on the road 1-4, 1-2 neutral up to this point. Just what your takeaways have been as we are here. We're heading into the weekend where you'll be home at Elevate Fitness in DeWitt on Saturday, March 22nd at 7 p.m. Eastern Time before you head to Stonehill and then to Brown. So you'll be out in Massachusetts and Rhode Island before you come home to face LIU. Just where the men's team is at this season, what your takeaways have been, and how you kind of see it going forward.
Yeah, it's way different. We have 10 guys. I mean, that's the thing. Like, where do these guys all fit in? Everybody wants matches. Everybody wants to prove themselves. So I mean, sometimes in that record, I mean, in that 5-7 record, there were situations where I put guys in to spots to challenge them, to be quite honest with you. And to figure out, hey, can this guy win when it matters the most? We are 3-0 in conference. That's a massive thing for us. FDU is, in my opinion, the most talented team in the conference. So we're going to have a really tough match on Saturday. I mean, the chances of us winning the conference and being the number one overall seed, I mean, for me, I think that would be historic for Lemoyne. It would be such a cool thing. So, I mean, I don't think it's lost on the guys that this is what we want and this is our goal. So I mean, we're trying to be firing in the right direction as this goes.
And on the women's side, 7-6 at the time that we're talking. Overall, 4-2 in conference in the NEC. So we look at a winning record in the NEC for them as well, and opportunities to be at home, get victories, things that we've seen Coppin State most recently in Philadelphia, but at home, the Wagner victory, the Providence victory, which is when I spoke with Feriel. And so now as we look forward here, you'll have FDU at Elevate Fitness for the women's side, and then you'll head out to Cornell. You got LIU, and you'll have some more matchups as you come up here, and knowing that they're going to be at home for the majority of the rest of the regular season right now. Just what you've seen from the women and the work that they've done, and a congratulations to them, because like I said, the men have had a lot of great moments, NCAA moments in Division II, and now I'm watching this women's team excel, and now you're seeing both of these teams with winning records in conference, which is huge. So just what you can say about the women.
Yeah, I mean, those those women they amaze me all the time. I mean, I put a lot of pressure on them, and in particular spots. Like, I mean, there's players that are relied on to win matches, and they know it, and they don't they don't always like it, but most of the time they rise to the occasion, and I can only say good things about them. And we got a tough portion of our schedule going forward. And we're gonna work hard. It's a little bit easier. We're kind of like more locked in on who's starting and what positions at this point. But yeah, I mean, I think that if we can just keep that hard work going for the next month, I mean, things will be going great.
That coming from Jeff Lonczak here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in this edition of the Dolphin Dive in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Moyne College. And we're here inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. We're jumping into rapid fire. A couple questions between Coach and I. Jeff, you get the first one. What do you got?
Oh boy. So how do you feel about the Jags offseason so far?
I think they're terrible right now. And so they've made a ton of mistakes, nothing that I would have done. I would not have gotten rid of Evan Engram, 1,000-yard receiving tight end, and also a man of God, which I respect. Great conversations I've had with him on the air, off the air. Christian Kirk, great possession receiver. Gave him up to the Texans, so they get to see him twice for a 2026 seventh-round pick. I don't know what it is about the Jaguars and trading, but they only want like fifth, sixth, and seventh round picks, which to me is insanity. But they did that. They got nothing for Evan Engram. They got a seventh round pick, not even this year, for Christian Kirk. Andre Cisco from Syracuse, they wasted that. They let him go to the Jets. So they've lost now 3 starters. Trevor Lawrence is trying to come back. There was the alleged conversation that Trevor could be on the trading block, and my exact quote was, if the Jaguars trade Trevor Lawrence to the Steelers or any NFL team, they should immediately end their run as an NFL franchise and open a lemonade stand. So how do I feel? I feel like office, and I think that the people in the front office should call me. So a lot of mistakes. A lot of mistakes. I love the logo. I love the logo, but I don't understand the decision making. And there's a new general manager, and the decisions are the same still. So it's yeah, it's. I am a common sense person, and I'm not seeing a lot of that happening right now. So it's kind of frustrating.
You're missing the Brunel Baselli days.
Yeah, I'm missing the days where you had a good player and you respected that and you kept them together and you actually cared about the people that cover the team, and like putting time in actually mattered. The relationships matter, time spent mattered. That doesn't seem to matter anymore, and it's not fair. It's not fair to the guys. It's not fair to people like myself. So it's just they kind of ran like a mom and pop shop, and now they just feel bougie, and I don't get it. And I'm a people person, as you know. Like I'm all about relationships. So when someone talks to you as if you are beneath them, that's typically the last conversation that someone has with me. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll be a free agent. Maybe you could tell me why the Bears.
All right, all right. We'll sign you. Believe me, we will sign you.
So, why should I believe that the Bears could potentially make the playoffs this year?
um, okay, all right. I'll bite. Yeah, I mean, we solidified the interior of our offensive line. I mean, that's like the stock answer. I don't know if that means anything at the end of the day. I mean, it seems like a good recipe for success, but yeah, I don't know. We are the Bears. Like this is so like every year after the draft, I have this sort of, like this is gonna be great. This is it. This is our year. We're gonna do it. It's playoffs time, and then they disappoint me. So I don't know. Maybe you want to shift your free agency towards another organization and not be disappointed like I am perennially.
I mean, it's. Do you believe in Caleb? I mean, are you a Caleb Williams fan or?
Yeah, I mean, I think from an athletic standpoint, it's hard to not believe in him. He has a cannon. If he gets outside of the pocket, I mean, he doesn't need to even set his feet, and he can just launch a ball. Um, we'll see. I mean, I guess it's decision making, and they look at a lot of the stuff with all the sacks, and they say, the offensive line wasn't as bad as how many sacks that were allowed. So I mean, he was causing some of those sacks. So I mean, I don't know. I guess yeah, I believe in him, but I'm still, I don't know. I'm still a Bears fan, I guess.
I love that. I believe in them. I don't know. I'm still a Bears fan.
Yep, and a Mets fan. So I mean, Juan Soto, we'll see.
Yeah, I did have my prediction that Juan Soto and Pete Alonso would be Mets this year. So good to see it. Excited to see it. Mets need to get it together. Yankee is going through injuries and whatnot. People are going to be leaning on the Mets even more so to be the borough that represents in Major League Baseball. What's your second question for me?
Oh gosh, second question. So, oh boy, I'm thinking spring break thoughts. Yeah. So where was the best place you ate so far out your way where you're at?
Yeah, so I'm down in Florida. I would say I had two Disney dinners. I went to Narcoossee's in Grand Floridian. I'd never been there before. I've been to a lot of Disney restaurants by the grace of God. And we do a Disney show, do Diz with Dan. And I tell people, like, I've eaten at a pretzel cart and I've eaten at the most expensive restaurant that Disney has. So I feel like I can really give people an experience of, like, I've been to umpteen restaurants, plus quick service, plus the hotels. So if you're looking for something that's like really good on a budget and the food is like sneaky awesome, I can give you that. If you're looking for the ambiance where the food's okay, but you want the ambiance, I can give you that. If you're looking for where am I going to go spend a lot of money on a meal, have a great experience, and the food is like second to none, I can give you that. So Narcoossee's was great. Ohana's changed a little bit, a lot more expensive, but the experience is great there. So those have been my spoiled dinners for sure. And then I cooked. I cooked. I had to cook a little healthier meal, and now that I cook unhealthy, but I had to do organic, and so I did like a stir fry without the sauce and cut up chicken, season the chicken, and cut up organic. So it was organic chicken, organic broccoli, organic green peppers, and organic mushrooms. Put it all together into a bowl and turned it into something. And I thought that was good. So yeah, so I've cooked as well.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Thank you. So my final question for you, Mr. Lonczak, if you could take any one of your female student athletes and any one of your male student athletes, who would you like to see in a singles matchup head to head this season?
Oh gosh. Well, on the men's side, I'm gonna go with a freshman British gentleman who we've been working with for a while now. His name's Luke Hoyland. I mentioned him before. He's from the northern part of England, Sheffield, England. Um, yeah, I mean he's going to be relied on to win some pretty important matches. So I'm definitely looking at him. And on the women's side, it's my senior Isabella Barona, who's been with us forever, has approaching 100 victories, I'm sure. I think she's in the high 80s now. So yeah, she's relied upon to win the big matches. So yeah, for me, it's always about when it matters. It's always about money time, crunch time type of stuff.
That comment from Jeff Lonczak, men's and women's tennis head coach at Moyne College for the Dolphins in this edition of the Dolphin Dive and in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Jeff, as always, I never say goodbye. I say see you later. And I appreciate the conversations very much so, and always your time.
Oh, thank you, Dan. Always a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you soon.